Greetings, everyone. Greetings to another episode of Beyond Boardroom Business. I am so excited. I get the privilege of meeting so many powerful people. That's why I have to bring them on to Beyond Boardroom Business because their story needs to be heard all over the world all day, every day. These are people that can definitely change your life. And if it's not yours personally, someone you know. So make sure you have your pen, paper. You're going to take some notes. This powerful woman right here, I met her a few weeks ago, and I just had to let everyone know about who she is. Her name is Mrs. Natalie R. Williams, and she is the founder and author of The Core Method, Guide to Purpose-Driven Results. She is a dynamic speaker with a powerful story. Her journey from adversity to success resonates with audiences worldwide. So let's get to know Mrs. Natalie R. Williams herself. Greetings.
Hi, Coach Stephanie. How are
How
you?
are you? I'm great. How are you today?
I am great. I am great. Excited to be here.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. When I read your bio, first of all, when I first met you, I felt the energy. I felt that, you are definitely a woman of substance. You're not out here just wasting time. You definitely have stepped into your calling. I feel it. And I applaud you for, signing on to what you're here to do. So thank you for that.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I most certainly I echo the sentiments for you as well, Coach Stephanie. You are an amazing, wonderful woman. And I'm just excited that you have afforded me the opportunity to be here today and to be on Beyond Boardroom Business. So this is exciting. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's get started. Can you tell me a little bit more about Mrs. Natalie R. Williams?
Yes, I have an interesting story. So, I'm a former Fortune 20 executive. I was an executive in the Fortune 20 for well over 20 years. I'm a mother, I'm a wife. I've been a wife for almost 23 years. I'm a mother of three sons. I'm a caretaker for my mother as well. For almost 10 years now, I've been caring for my mother. And it's interesting. I mentioned that, I was within the Fortune 20 for well over 20 years. But last year in June, I decided to walk away from that career. So even though I had this great, successful career, I learned a lot during that career. I helped a lot of people over that time. Just like you said earlier, I thought it was important for me to get closer to my purpose and make sure that I'm truly walking in my purpose. And what's interesting is that, it didn't always start out as roses and sunshine. I mentioned I have three children. My oldest son, I actually had him on my 18th birthday. On my 18th birthday, I was a high school dropout. I didn't have any formal, education. I was a survivor of domestic violence, so I had to escape a pretty tough situation with my oldest son's father. But and people counted me out. They said, hey, you haven't graduated high school. You've had a child on your 18th birthday. Like, what is it now that you're going to do in life? And I made sure that, hey, this is my circumstance today, but it doesn't necessarily mean this circumstance is going to define me. And so I made it my business to make sure that every opportunity that I was afforded, I took full advantage of it, and I lifted myself up, and I was able to move myself forward. And so that's a little bit about my story and why I'm so passionate about this topic of purpose and making sure that people are connected to their purpose and walking in their purpose each and every day. Because regardless of what your circumstances are today, you do have control to take control and move things forward in the way that you desire it to be.
Wow, that is a great answer. And I really resonate with you, as I mentioned to you a while ago, because I too got married early at 17 and had ended up having two daughters by the time of 19 years old. So, what inspired you to keep going despite everyone talking negatively about you?
Well, at the end of the day, and I have always been a person to say that, you will always have naysayers, you will have doubters, just as many of those as you will have supporters. And a lot of times, in many cases, you will have more doubters and naysayers than you will have supporters. But what was important for me, I've always felt like my purpose on this earth is to serve. So regardless of what role I was in, what situation or circumstance that I was in, I always made sure that I was leveraging my platform for good, that I was positioning myself in a manner where I could give back. Because if there wasn't anything else that I can control, I can certainly control my actions and how I decide to utilize my skill sets in this world. And so, even at an early age, even at the age of 18, having a child at the age of 18, and not really necessarily knowing how my circumstances were going to pan out, it was important to me to still make sure that I stood tall and that I gave back. And I also understood that as long as I was doing the right thing, as long as my intentions were good, even if I made a mistake, even if I had a failure, even if I did not achieve every goal that I set out to achieve, the bottom line was that my intentions were good. I'm trying to do the right thing. So even if it didn't work out in that moment, over time, things started to work out. And so I paid close attention to that. And even once I earned my education, I entered into the workforce as I was leading people and having conversations with people. It was really important to me, even at that point, to make sure that I was giving back in the capacity that I could based on what my responsibilities were. So for me, it was really leaning into, what was my God-given purpose? And like I said, I believe that purpose was to serve. And as long as I was doing the right thing, over time, a lot of things started to work out for me in my favor. And of course, I was able to give back to others to see those very same things happen with them.
Wow. Wow, that's how you know you're walking in your calling, because things to start unfolding in your favor, as you mentioned. So my next question to you is, with you being a mother, a wife, and you going to school and work, how did you do it all without, or did you have a lot of stress? How did you manage all of that?
Yeah, definitely. I had lots, lots of stresses. Interesting. My son, my oldest son now, he's 25 years old. He'll be 26 years old. And one thing in my career, I'm a classic A-type personality, right? So when I want something, like I want it now, I want it to happen now, and I'm going to do whatever it is necessary within reason, right? To get it done. And that is my personality. And that has always shown through in whatever it is that I'm doing. But one thing, I used to always say is that, my son, my oldest son's life, his life, it just seems like it flew by. It flew by so fast because I was so focused on career and how do I make sure that we're successful and I'm providing for the family and all that kind of great stuff. There used to be this phrase that folks would coin to say, work-life balance. It's important to have work-life balance. And for a while, I chased after this concept of work-life balance, but I grew to realize that, there's not necessarily this perfect balance, if you will. I like to coin it as work-life integration, right? And so, when I say follow your purpose and make sure that you're connected to your purpose, see, when you're following your purpose, you're connected to your purpose, you're working in your purpose, work doesn't feel like work, right? It's a lot easier to integrate those tasks into the multiple responsibilities that you have. And, the advice that I always give to everyone, because everyone's circumstance is different, everyone's situation is different. And, myself, eventually I got married. Like I said, I've been married now for 23 years. So I had a support system that, that helped a lot. But even with that support system, what was important for me to be able to juggle all these multiple priorities was being very upfront, clear, in communicating with my husband around ultimately what it was that I wanted to accomplish and what needed to be true in order for that to get there. So for me, it was really making sure I was transparent with my husband, communicating with him about what it is that I wanted to accomplish, making sure that we had a schedule that we both shared and we were clear about who had what responsibility, leaning into the tribe that I had as well, other women who were experiencing the very same challenges. And at the end of the day, understanding that nothing will be perfect. It will not be perfect, right? You're going to have to integrate this work into your life so that you can achieve some level of happiness and success. But work-life integration is what I say was really important. So communicating openly, being very clear and intentional around what are your goals, why do you want the things that you want, so that I could prioritize appropriately. learning how to say no and understanding also how to delegate and being very comfortable with that. And when all of those things came together, that's how I was able to kind of juggle this life of being a mother, a career woman, a caretaker, all of these different things while still getting the work done and achieving what I wanted to achieve. That was really important for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like you're saying, it's all about structure and putting a plan together.
Yes.
That's where a lot of people miss,
Mhm.
where they don't put a plan together. They just do. And having that plan is essential if you really want to accomplish a goal. And you are a life coach, correct?
Yes,
So
I am. I am.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure, those are some of the things that you go over and, just having a plan. So my next question is, how do you have your me time? Do you implement it every day? What do you do for your me time?
It's funny. It's hard. I'm in this space today, right? So I mentioned that I walked away from this career of 24 years, June of last year. I had this great idea to write a book about connecting people to purpose and delivering results. And as soon as I stepped away from my career, Stephanie, my mother, we were on vacation. She fell. She broke her ankle in 3 places. She had COVID. She had pneumonia. It's been a
Oh,
long, long road, right? And through all of that, I was trying to finalize the book. I was finalizing all of my certifications around being a life coach and an executive coach. I was trying to figure out this new business space that that I've created as well because I consult human resources consulting and also coaching as well. And I had to figure all that out while trying to take care of me, right?
cool.
And it's that whole kind of feeling as a woman. I think innately, inherently, as women, we're nurturers, we're caretakers. We want to make sure that everything's in order. And because we're so busy trying to make sure that everyone around us is feeling good about what's happening, we oftentimes neglect the space and time that we need for ourselves, free from guilt, free from guilt. And
Yes.
so I've learned a lot about myself, I will say, over this last year that I've really had to lean into. One, not feeling guilty for taking the time that I need to reset, refresh my mind, get focused on the things that I want. And what I've also learned is that if you're not intentional in terms of how you make that time for yourself,
Mm.
it likely will not happen. So for me, I am very intentional around one. I love music. I love going to concerts. I love doing those types of things like that. For me, is like self-care. So I always make sure I'm looking for, what's the event? How can I build into the schedule? And, me and my husband actually schedule, we have an event calendar and we share the calendar. And, like that's my time to kind of get away, level set, have some fun. And then I also say that it's always great to have something to look forward to, right? I had
Mhm.
someone who said that to me that, the key to happiness in life is always having something to look forward to. And I
Yeah.
took that as how do I create experiences and opportunities for myself that I always have something to look forward to. And at the same time, I'm prioritizing the time for myself. And so that's what I do. I'm intentional. I schedule it. I look for those moments that I would love to be a part of. And that's what I do. And I prioritize it and I make it happen. I prioritize me just as I would prioritize anything else that I have to do on my calendar.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you handle disappointments as an entrepreneur? Things happen. How do you handle that?
Yeah, well, I think that one thing that I talk about in my book, so the core method is actually a 4-part framework, and it's clarity, optimization, reflection, and execution.
Okay.
And in the section where I talk about reflection, I talk about the importance of reflecting on not only who you are in moments of success, but
Mm.
also reflecting on who you are in moments of failure as well,
Right.
right? Because the reality is that life be life, and as they say, right? And so you are always going to have moments where you feel defeated, You could plan to the nth degree, and one thing can happen and take you off of course. And so you have to decide and understand, who have you been in those moments where you have perceived failures. And then more importantly, everyone's human. So I'm not saying that you're not going to feel down. You're not going to feel sad. You're not going to feel some level of emotion. Absolutely, you will. My point is, the goal is not to stay there for any extended period of time that is going to take you off course from ultimately where it is that you want to be. So I think you have to find, and for me personally, I try to find the lesson in everything. I'm a lifelong learner. And so I try to find the lesson. What is the lesson? What can I learn from this perceived failure that I've had today? And then what is it going to take? What needs to be true? That's what I always say. What needs to be true in order for me to be able to move past it? And so, of course, am I disappointed when I have a failure? Am I disappointed with something doesn't necessarily turn out the way that I planned for it to, or the way that I wanted it to? Sure, of course I do. But I always make sure that I'm not staying in that headspace. I always actively practice the power of optimism. I talk about that a lot in the book as well, having a growth mindset. And I evaluate, who am I in moments of success? Who am I in moments of failure? What do I need to replicate in my attitude and actions? And what do I need to eliminate in my attitude and action? And then I just keep it moving. I keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, time is going to move on with or without us.
Yes.
The goal is to make sure that you are making the most out of the time that you have.
That is so true. Woo, that was powerful. Wow. So since you are now an entrepreneur full time, and you've been in corporate as an employee, what are the differences that you've noticed between being an employee and entrepreneur? Not that one or the other is better, just what have you observed?
It's interesting. So I always say, I don't take anything away from the career that I had for 24 years. Actually, I say that being in that corporate environment prepared me for everything that I have experienced over the last year, right? And so I think I was fortunate enough in that all of the roles I've held within corporate environments, you have to have some form of an entrepreneurial mindset, right? Especially when you're a leader of people, you're leading large organizations, large P&Ls, budgets, things like that. You can't wait for someone to tell you what to do each and every day, right? You have to plan accordingly. You have to strategize accordingly, leverage all of the resources that you have around you, influence people. You're influencing through people to get things done. And so I would say all of those experiences prepared me for what I have experienced, I would say, over the course of the year. I would say the major difference is there's a big difference in having an entrepreneurial spirit within a corporate environment when you're backed by millions of dollars and kind of, budgets to be able to facilitate all the things that you need to get done. As an entrepreneur, when you're starting out, unless you have, huge rounds of funding, investors, and many have that. In my particular case, not. So, I self-funded everything up to this particular point. And so when you don't have like this kind of unlimited resource, and not that I necessarily had an unlimited resource in corporate, so I did not, but I had resources to get things done quicker, smoother, easier. As an entrepreneur, it doesn't necessarily go that way. In a corporate environment, I had a team of people who did my operations, communications, everything else that needed to get done, right? And in this space that I'm in today, I am the marketer. I am the person who's creating the advertising. I am the person who's doing all the operations. I am the bookkeeper. I'm all of it, right? I'm all of it. But I'm grateful because, like I said, if I didn't have the experiences that I had in the corporate environment, I don't know that it would have been as easy to kind of transition to this space and understand, here are the things that I need to line up. Here's what I need to have. But I will say, it never feels like there's enough time in the day. The to-do list continues to grow and grow and grow. But I just continue to focus on like how I prioritize my time, what's really important, where I invest my money is really important as well, until I get to the point where I feel comfortable with, large investments, loans, things like that. This is where I am. So I would say, the greatest thing that I learned is that you need to have a lot of confidence in yourself and your ability to get things done. And procrastination is not like an option when you are trying to get things off the ground on your own as an entrepreneur.
Oh my gosh, you are so right. But what about all those perfectionists that exist out here? I mean, I just don't see how you can get to the end game if you're a perfectionist. Like you said, their life be lifing. So there's going to be many mistakes along the way, but that's another way of learning as well. And for those, I have a few clients that are perfectionists, and that's what holds them back. They are creating obstacles that stops them from achieving their success.
Yeah.
And, it's unfortunate, but as you said, so eloquently, you just got to keep going, and things are going to happen, but you just keep going, you keep pursuing what your goal is, the end game is. So let me ask you this: back when you were 18, had a child, and around the time you realized that this relationship isn't going to work, what were the people in your life, what kept you inspired, as opposed to just giving up and saying, okay, well, let me just get a government check, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
What helped you?
It's interesting. So, I grew up in a household. So my father, he's passed away now. He actually passed away Christmas Day of 2017. Okay.
Wow.
And so, my father was a minister, he was a PhD. My father was also blind my entire life.
Wow.
My entire life. And so he had an accident as a child, and he lost his eyesight as a child. So my entire life, he has been blind, but he went on to have an amazing career. Like I said, PhD, was a professor in many different colleges in the South, HBCUs in the South. Later on went on to be a pastor. And, growing up, and though, my parents divorced at a young age. So I was about 8 or 9 years old when my parents divorced. My mother was taking care of me and my younger sister. And, I had to watch her kind of transition her life to this place where she's been married for 20 plus years, and now she's having to figure out how to raise these 2 girls on her own. And clearly, I was having some challenges because I ended up having a child on, on my 18th birthday. So I was mixed in with the wrong crowd and things like that. But, seeing my mother, seeing my father, right, no eyesight, having to kind of make his way through life the way that he did. I had 2 very excellent examples, right, of not allowing an adverse situation to dictate what's possible. And what I knew for myself is that even though, I remember being on the bus, trying to get back and forth to work with my son and get him to a babysitter and all this kind of stuff and try to figure it out. But I knew I wanted something more for my life. Like I knew I was destined for more. And if my parents did it, despite their situation and all that they had to go through, then certainly, right, I could do it. Like I knew I could do it. And so it was not easy. I will tell you that it was not easy. I remember working. By the time I had my son here in Atlanta, and then I moved back home to Columbia, South Carolina. That's actually where I started my career with the Fortune 20 organization. And there were many days where I was trying to figure out childcare, and I worked all of these different schedules to try to work around that. Eventually I leveraged the employer's tuition assistance program to earn all of my education. But I had to do all of those things while not necessarily having it all like figured out. And so I think that one is giving yourself grace for the circumstance, grace for the experience, grace for what it is that you are trying to do. And the fact that you are even trying should be a celebration. And so I had to learn how to celebrate small wins, recognize the efforts that I am putting in and what I am accomplishing. And I think as I started to see that kind of replicate itself over time and understand that these moments were certainly temporary, that's where I got more confident in myself and that I can do this. So, and I believe, when my family and others who were in my life saw my drive, my determination, my spirit, my will to not break,
Right.
I think that motivated and inspired others to get behind the journey
Awesome.
as well. So I think that's what kept me going, is just inspired. Like, I knew that more is destined for me, and I was not going to allow anyone to tell me that I couldn't get it done.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. That self love from within, that's the driving force that makes you successful. Wow.
Yeah.
So you have this quote on your website. It says, "Purpose is fundamental to the human experience." What made
Yes.
you come up with that quote?
Well, I say that everything we do, right? It is for a purpose. It doesn't matter how big the task, how small the task, project, initiative, whatever it is, the thought, the step that you take when you walk out the house every morning, when you go make your cup of coffee in the morning, like everything that we do, there's a purpose behind it. It is fundamental to who we are as human beings. It is fundamental to our experience. I believe that the more that you understand who you are, your identity, why do you want the things that you want? What are your goals? The more that you understand that, the more that you get closer connected to what you believe your purpose is, the better positioned you are to create success and happiness for yourself based on your terms, based on what you want and how you plan to prioritize. And so I coined that phrase because purpose is absolutely fundamental to the human experience. Everything you do has a purpose, it has a reason. It's up to you, though, to figure out how do you make sure that you achieve the desired outcome. And when you take a step back and kind of think about things in those terms, then it becomes more clear in terms of what activities and what actions you need to take also.
That is so true. Wow. You're definitely speaking from experience. I mean, there's no way you can just say that off the cuff. You know, you definitely not only talk the talk, you walk the walk. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you. Thank
welcome.
you.
So, how can people learn where more about you, how to contact you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you could definitely visit the website, www.thecoremethod.llc.com. At the Core Method LLC, we offer everything from coaching services, life coaching, executive coaching, professional development coaching, business coaching as well. Also, we consult in the human resources space also. So we're very much focused on workforce and workplace development. So anything around developing your employees, we do that as well. Youth development is also critically important for us. So we believe that it's important for us to prepare the next generation that is entering into the workforce or getting
Yes.
prepared for college and career. So that's really important for us as well. I'm also on every social media platform. So you could just search Natalie R. Williams on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook as well. The Core Method is also present in those spaces also. So I can be found, and if you're interested in scheduling time, sometime certainly there's a link on the website as well for you to get in contact with me.
And that website again is thecoremethodllc.com.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Well, any closing statements you would like to leave with the viewers?
Yeah, I just want to say that, again, the more that you understand about yourself, the clearer you are, the more intentional you are in understanding and defining yourself and making sure that you are matching your opportunities, your network, your relationships to truly who you believe you are and what you want to accomplish in this life. That's how you achieve purpose-driven results, and that's what the Core Method is all about. And one of my favorite sayings is life. Either you can live in fear every day or you can live in faith every day, right? And so I just encourage everyone to live in faith every day, have faith in knowing that you can get it done. If you believe in yourself, you are your number one cheerleader and supporter. And so have faith in everything that you're doing. Fear is real, and I call fear false evidence appearing real. So don't allow a stumbling block, a barrier, a challenge, fear to dictate how successful you're going to be. Live in faith every day. When you live in faith every day and you're intentional with your actions and you utilize your platform for good, that's how you create this awe-inspiring life where you're chasing after what it is that you want. And more importantly, you're accomplishing what you believe you're here to accomplish in this world.
Woo. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is a powerful episode right here. I can't wait for everyone to soak it all in, and please share with your friends and family. This woman right here is the truth. Thank you, Mrs. Natalie R. Williams. Thank you so much for being here. I
Yes,
appreciate
thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. This is great. Thank you.
All right, take care. All right, everyone. Again, you know, that was it went by, time went by so fast. It's so loving to know that people out here care about you and are here to help you. So there's no excuse for not trying to become successful. There are people out here that want to help. Mrs. Natalie R. Williams, she is available. Please check her out. The Core Method LLC.com. I really appreciate her spending time here on Beyond Boardroom Business. Thank you all. Again, I'm your host, Coach Stephanie, and I appreciate you all sharing this time with me, and I look forward to seeing you next week. It is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Take care, everyone. Peace.